What's up, everybody? My name is Isaac Caulfield, and I'm the founder of Vantage Lead Gen, where we generate 10 to 15 high intent sales appointments for B2B consultants, coaches, and companies on a performance basis using a mixture of cold email, LinkedIn outreach, and warm calling. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the correlation between risk reversals and overall positive responses with cold traffic. So there's four main common preconceived notions that almost everyone has when it comes to selling over cold traffic. So the first one that is that it's 2024 and prospects just don't trust agencies, right? Or mainly anyone pitching them services. The second is that they've likely heard your pitch in the same or very subtle nuances before, and therefore they put you in the same bucket as everyone else almost automatically. They also anticipate you asking for something upfront. So this could be a call, but more commonly, this is something like, a retainer. They're expecting you're going to sell them a retainer. They're expecting an unreasonable rev share. And in the 2024 wave of growth operating, half their business. And logically, this is just never going to sell at scale, right? Most companies, smaller companies, can't afford to pay you a monthly retainer and then get, minimal results that are just enough to keep you on month after month. A lot of companies that are actually doing good and companies you'd like to work with, they don't want to pay you an unreasonable rev share because they know they're going to sell at a high rate. And depending on the ticket size of their product, they're not going to want to give you 20 or 30% every single sale that comes to them. And this ultimately hammers their bottom line. And then in growth operating, unless you can quite literally make someone 6 to 7 figures of added revenue every single month on a consistent basis, nobody's going to want to give you equity in a business that's actually doing well. And then lastly, they want to treat you like an employee, not the specialized contractor that you are. And therefore, this makes you commoditized and it makes your service almost invaluable to them, right? They have something that works. You come in, you make it a little bit better, maybe marginally better, right? You're going to get treated like another one of their employees. You're going to get treated like you're part of the marketing department, and therefore you're going to be asked to do things that are outside of, what you specialize in or what they're paying you to do. And it's just going to be an overall poor experience and going to be a lot harder to sell to these type of contractors and these type of companies. So if you've ever heard the phrase, it hurts to lose $1 than it feels good to gain $1, then you know a little bit about what I'm talking about. But if not, let's just dive in. So especially because you are effectively a stranger and you are soliciting business from these owners, they typically have their guard up, right? They've heard it all before and they've been promised the world. So when you come in the door with your offer, they're desensitized. They just don't want to hear what you have to say, or they've heard it so many times. It does not invigorate any sort of feeling or emotion that would compel them to actually work with you and pay you money to do, said service for them. And this is just logical. Humans are made to be risk adverse. So by selling to them and not really standing out and having to go against hundreds or thousands of agencies that have burnt people in the past, they're just going to have their guard up because we were chemically wired to be that way, right? And it means no matter how much ROI you say you can actually get them, and money that you may actually be able to generate, you may have generated for other people, they've been pitched so many times by 90% of the market that typically can't deliver the result that you're saying you can deliver on. They just shut off. And this is just the nature of buying psychology. And like I touched on before, we're chemically programmed to avoid pain, to avoid risk. And we have to pry ourselves and force ourselves to take risk in order so we can achieve X result. However, this doesn't mean that everyone's going to do it all the time, specifically when it comes to buying something from you, giving up their hard-earned money or taking a risk on their operations in their business to work with you, right? So hence the phrase above, it hurts to lose $1 than it feels good to gain $1. And this is, again, because most businesses are concerned with not losing money more than they are with gaining money. And this works in proportion to each other. So your job as a marketer is to identify this climate and simply don't get beat in it. But there is 3 levers that you could pull and 3 levers that typically people will pull depending on the business type, depending on the situation, right? So that is to change your offer, right? When people get hit with this objection, the one thing you can do is change your offer. Contradictory to popular belief, the chances of risk objections happening simply come from the fact that they just don't find value in your service, right? They're not willing to justify spending one, two, three, four, five, $10,000 with you if they don't see the service in proportion to how much you're charging them, and you'll simply just not make sales, right? So what you should do, and what I recommend, and what I've done before and I've seen work for hundreds of other agencies, is changing your offer so it becomes something of value proportionally, again, that they actually want and they can justify spending money on. However, this is very difficult to do in a lot of different businesses because you can't just simply change your service or change your offering. But if you're a smaller agency, you should be changing your offer and testing multiple offers at the same time to see what people actually want. What does the part of this market want to buy that I'm trying to sell to? So the next lever you can pull is having enough or in excess of social proof and credibility. So at a certain point in business, you should have become a large enough authority and figure with a Rolodex of social proof that overly reassures the prospect that you are the person capable of achieving the results, and in the majority of cases, exceeding their expectations. So this has to be, 30 plus case studies on your landing page, a whole slew of client success interviews on your landing page, on your socials, and then content across all platforms, and then multiple people that are ready to vouch for you. The problem with this is that it takes years to build up, and it can't make up for the fact that simply due to the nature of business, there is always a portion of the market that will never buy from you. No matter how good your product or service is, they just won't buy from you. And you won't ever bat 100 in anything in life, so this is just a logical statement at the end of the day. The last thing you can do is significantly increase your sales ability, right? So you can better your sales skills to improve to a point where you're closing at a rate that you can sell almost anyone on almost anything that comes through your funnel. However, I'm a firm believer that to an extent, your product should speak for itself, and you should build relationships that allow you to sell your product in low pressure environments. You shouldn't have to use sleazy sales tactics or sales tricks to get someone to buy something from you. However, there is the one lever that you should be pulling, especially if you're below 6 figures. You should always be pulling this lever in almost any instance, but primarily when you're selling to cold traffic, and henceforth it's the risk reversal. So simply giving the prospect what they want. And what do I mean by this? I don't mean a discount or a desperate beg for the sale. Nobody likes that, and that never works no matter what you say. And as I stated before, when it comes to the thought of working with you, people are more concerned with not losing money than they are with making money, especially selling to cold traffic. Simply put, what happens if X result is not achieved? That's the question they're going to ask themselves at the end of the call throughout the sales process. Almost 100% of the time, they're going to ask that question if it's to cold traffic primarily. So if you're just starting out, you should probably give a guarantee of some sort if you're selling to these people. If you're experienced or have results, offer performance-based, so they only pay you when the result is achieved. Or if you do have experience and substantial results, still collect payment up front, but offer to work for free or extend the timeline of your work if the result is not achieved by, the original agreed upon date. And by simply giving the prospect what they want, and it could be one of those 3 things, the chances of selling them are so much easier. And don't get me wrong, your service still has to be valuable, and it still has to make sense for them and have some realistic expectation to actually working. But by mitigating their risk through these risk reversals, your chances of selling and then scaling with whatever offer or service you provide significantly increases. So here's an example or some examples of effective risk reversals. So people say, We'll find you 2 to 5 high ticket clients in the next 90 days or your money back. And it depends your industry. Some of these things are overused, but at the end of the day, it's cold traffic. You need to give them something of value and something that they would actually consider buying or consider at least exploring further with you. Or 20% of top line revenue generated on closed deals. Again, that's another one you could use. And then, if you're a short form content agency, maybe you don't have the most quantifiable results. You can say, hey, 1 million views for short form content in 6 months, or will work for free until they hit that 1 million, right? And this just gives you a way out because, again, if you can't really guarantee quantifiable results, or if your timeline is just going to be too long to put those quantifiable results in, just saying, hey, if we don't hit this by this time, we'll just continue to work free of charge until we hit that, and then we can discuss further whatever makes sense. So lastly, I just want to say that risk reversals will always work. It's 2024, and again, business owners aren't entertained by how much money you claim you can make them, but they're more interested in mitigating their associated risks involved with working with you. And if you're willing to take the risk, maybe sacrifice some margin in the short term. In some cases, you can still win with cold traffic. But unless you have the ability to find exactly what they want, back it up with ample social proof, and provide hundreds, if not thousands, of testimonials to the efficacy of your work and deliver it in a way that makes them feel like they have no choice but to buy from you, whether it's in their best interest or not, you need to be implementing these risk reversals. Otherwise, you just simply get left behind, and the people that are willing, to do what you want for the client will ultimately take all the clients, your clients, and any clients that you would like to work with just by implementing, a risk reversal.